Oh, okay, that's great. So, good morning from the Finland, the mighty Finland.
Yeah, and a little bit snow still. Snow came down like 4 days ago, but now it's already melted. So that was like really short winter, but we're waiting for the next one. So we are from Team Academy, Jyväskylä. The slide before, there was Tiimi Akatemia. That's Team Academy in Finnish. But Veikka, who are you?
Well, I'm a second year in Team Academia. So I have 2 companies and a strong background in sports. And I bring a sports-like approach to working and team building. And Esa, what about you?
Well, I have only 3 weeks left of this Team Academy. So I'm a senior year student over there. So that's who I am at the moment. But can you go backwards a little bit? Thank you. The main areas I've been into this Team Academy time are learning organizations and disc golf. I don't know if some of you know disc golf or not, but it's sports which is really big in Finland, where you have your frisbee, so a plastic, and then you have a basket. And you try to throw in the middle of the forest the disc into the basket. So that's how stupid it is. And I've also been a representative of the international relationships in Team Academy for a year. So I've been in charge of the international stuff over there.
So now we ask you to take your pen and a book where you can take notes, as we do always in Team Academy. And today the subject of this session is team learning and dialogue.
So take your time for a while now to really, teams challenges. So now let's take a minute to write down what do you want to learn today about team learning and dialogue. So let's have a while for that now. So that you can make it concrete that what do you want to learn. So let's have a while of Finnish awkward silence now also. So what do we wish to learn today? At least I want to learn today more of this streaming and this kind of speaking in the stream. How would I say it better? Can you?
I'm thinking that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Giving a presentation this way.
Yeah.
Through the Teams meeting.
And also learn about you. I'm really waiting for the discussion session and also your comments from here coming to chat box. So I wish to learn from you also because you have a lot of knowledge. So I want to learn from you also.
So that's
do we use Rugby Morg for this webinar?
I really don't know the service.
Really no idea. Because we are not, this technology around this, it's not our area. We just came here and asked, we want this one, and they were like, all right, we do that. So unfortunately, we cannot answer you that question because we don't know. But I hope that you have now written down the things you want to learn today. So let's get into the structure of this day. Firstly, we already introduced ourselves a little, and then we are going to go more into the Team Academy, a little bit to the Team Academy, because you already have heard about it, but we will scratch it a little bit. Then we have made a claims that we will discuss of this area. And in the end of this 2-hour session now, we want to challenge you to do things, to act. There are some things you can try out. And then we are going to have the discussion session.
And your opinions of our claims will divide, but that's good because nothing will change if everyone agrees. And chat is open. Ask us questions, and we will get back to them.
Yeah, we will do our best to answer them. And also the meaning of today is that yesterday you talk, if we understood it right, more of the structures of how to use these methods. But today we are more challenging your thinking, because everything starts from the individuals. No matter how great structures do you have, everything starts from the individuals. So we are here today to challenge your thinking. And as Veikka said, some of you might like this and some of you might not. So, but that's the idea.
Let's go. Something about Team Academy. We work as entrepreneurs 3 years as we study, and after we graduate, we already have 3 years of experience in the area, and almost everyone gets a workplace or goes to further study more, and half of us will continue as entrepreneurs.
Yeah, and so these are kind of big percentages. So that's more of the achievements and that these methods have got over here.
So what's it like to be in Team Academy? So our week's structure is that we do projects 24 hours a week, and we have 8 hours of dialogue, and we study 8 hours of theory. And the projects are like real business. We have real companies and we're dealing with real customers. The dialogue sessions are training sessions to us 2 times a week, 4 hours a time. And we are with the same team all our studies. And the theory is books, articles, videos, whatever we want to learn, and we really want to learn. That's the main thing. And the big thing is that we have the same people, we have a lot of time together, and the same coach who is coaching us all the time here.
Yeah. And about what is really the main tool we use is dialogue. It's really the core of the team learning, that you can have a real dialogue. And if we have here over there is what William has said about it. That's the book you really want to learn if you want to learn more about dialogue or get the theory about it, is William Isaac's Dialogue. Because over there he has said that the dialogue is a conversation which has a core, and there is no sides chosen. So there is some subjects, and there are no sides taken.
So it's not opinion against opinion.
It's about building our opinion together, that we get one opinion and get a lot of opinions of that. But the four main elements or rules, you could say, of dialogue are listen, wait, respect, and straightforwardness. Oh God, what a word. But if we go a little bit deeper to those, when you listen, you are not talking all the time. You will get time to also see others' opinions and write down your opinions. So that's also a part where you use the book and pen to write down and think about it, and then maybe tell your opinion. And also the waiting is kind of the same, that you are not rushing to tell your opinion, because, for example, when I started at Team Academy, I thought that my ideas were the best. They were the best, and I just wanted to push them. But if you just push your opinions, like whenever they come to your head, it's not so good thing, because yeah.
And if you don't respect someone other's opinion, you won't really listen. And that's the main thing.
And then the straightforwardness is really tough one to get also, because first you have to have the trust that you can talk straight. But when you talk straight, then you get a real dialogue, because many times you might just you want to please others. Like if you disagree in something, but you're like, well, maybe I will not say this, though it would be really important to come up with that opinion, that you disagree in something, because then you can create something new. And if you never disagree with each other, then someone else will, and it will just be the same. Nothing changes.
So we practice this a lot in Team Academy, and we get back to this later. What is the difference between studying in a group or studying in a team? We'll get back to that.
That's a really good question, because we will get back into that. So this Team Academy is a really worldwide concept, because it is used in at least in 11 countries and on the 5 continents. And there are over 10,000 users on these methods. And what is a really big thing to point out in this situation, in your situation, is that every place of those that already use Team Academy methods and this team learning and everything, they are different. So all those places have adapted the Team Academy methods to their world, to their culture, to their needs and surroundings. So it's not about copying that, all right, we have to do exactly like this. It's more of the evolving, that how it works in your place.
And now we get these claims. And remember, your opinions may be other than what we think, and it's okay. So the claims are, I need to be the most important person in the classroom as a teacher. The second one is, groups and teams are the same thing. Third one, you learn things by reading or hearing about them. Fourth one, you only learn by doing things right. Fifth one, I already know it all. And the sixth one is, this is not possible in your schools. And now we discuss these claims.
So the first we want to open this session with the question that, are you building workers for 1950s? I hope not. And I believe that not, but let's open this a little bit. What do we mean with this one? What we mean is that the world of work has changed a lot, as we know, but let's get into this more. The biggest thing that we want to point out is that before you were told what you have to do. So you only what was said that you'd have to do. But nowadays, it's more and more about self-directiveness and about learning in a team, that when you do things in working life, you are usually evaluated as a team. And also there are a lot of fast changes and lifelong learning and constant development. But the two things I want to point out from these are the self-directiveness and team evaluation. Because that's the things that happens in working life. But what about in schools? Is there also self-directiveness, or does someone tell the students what to do over there? And also, are the students evaluated as individuals or as a team? Because I personally see a gap over there, and also books I read, there's a gap between the school evaluating individuals and telling them what to do, and in working life there is evaluating as a teams and self-directiveness. So there might be a gap if they are not taken. Yeah.
So, do I have to be the most important person in the classroom as a teacher? Well, our own experiences. When our coaches, they focus on listening to us and our thoughts and more to just push our thinking the right way. That way, our coaches, they won't discourage us. They want us to improve ourselves. That's the big thing.
Yeah, and also a big thing is that they never tell us what you have to do. If we think of that Team Academy is a business world, our coaches never tell us that you have to learn marketing now. Read these books. Never. It goes the other way. That we have to think of that, what do I want to learn about business? And then it might be marketing, or for example, in my case, it's been more of the learning organization and leadership. And then coaches are pushing me over there that, all right, should you be the team leader? Should you be the representative of the international relationships? Should you read this book? I think that this is a good book about this leadership. So that's the way it happens with our coaches.
And it's our opinion that's the main thing. That's the basement. And then we are building to that. So we get more brave. And for you, for example, braveness has risen a lot.
Yeah, a lot. Because when I realized that I can do my idea, not only listen to someone others, and I've got to try things. For example, this one, this is our idea. We can try this. And for example, disc golf, we have a couple of courses. I would try those. Then when it's my idea, and I get to try that. And if I succeed in that, it's been only about me, that and also the team that has succeeded. So then I really get pumped up and brave, get more brave about it. And now after I graduate in 3 weeks, I will continue as an entrepreneur because of this, really because of that.
And that's a big difference with the motivation that what you do, because you yourself have chosen what to do.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the dialogue a bit more, because in the classroom, mostly it's just teacher talking. That's the basic way of teaching. But it's a big thing that's more like Eine said, if teachers listen to students, they will learn as well. And that's students should be more in the in the center of the class. Their thoughts, because when you teach something and they discuss it, you can really see if they have gotten the idea that you wanted to tell them.
Yes, and as Paulton Ein, I don't know if I pronounced it right, also pointed out that if we teachers listen to students, we will learn as well.
Yes.
So that the knowledge is also on them, not only you as a teacher, but on them. They have a lot of knowledge also. So it's like you, yeah.
And this is how the dialogue goes. It has start and it goes like every direction, but it tries to stay within this ball.
Within the subject.
Yes. And after all, it has a finish. That's like it should work, but it's not that simple. The idea is simple, but how it works, it's not.
Yeah.
So sometimes the boundary is crossed. We go to some other subject, and then the coach interferes and pushes it back to the bubble, back to the ball. And then we can continue the dialogue.
Yeah, the thing you really have to point out and see over here is that in the beginning, the dialogue will be awful. It's really if we I believe that if you both recall the first times in our teams, because we're in different teams, the dialogue was like, oh man,
Someone's talking all the time.
Yeah.
Not everyone is respected or listened, and there's not even the honesty, the straightforwardness. But that's normal because people are learning. You have to learn dialogue by having dialogue.
Yeah.
And it can be learned. That's a big thing. As you said, inexperienced team needs a lot of interference from the coach, a lot of pushing the right direction. So over time, the dialogue will be good. And I think your team is a great example of that. Now your dialogue is so much better.
Yeah. A lot of better.
And it's not only, it's 2 months, 3 months, and it starts developing.
Yeah.
And it develops over time, all the time.
Yeah.
It's never perfect, but that's life.
Yeah. And also the dialogue of the team develops, but also you as a coach will develop in that.
Yes.
So be mercy for yourself.
And dialogue is not only within a team. You can have dialogue with your customers and with your family. And in dialogue, everyone is listened and respected. So everyone feels appreciated. And that's a big thing.
Yeah. And also one thing to point out, the point of view of dialogue from the Isaac's book is that you seek to understand not to be understand. So you're not only trying to push your knowledge and your ideas, whoever you are, but more of trying to understand that, all right, why that one is thinking like that, and why that one is thinking like that, why I am thinking like this. So it's one of the main things also. So this was also that brought up from the chat box. That's great that you use that one. Use it more if you feel or have any questions. But is that the second claim that groups and teams are the same thing? Or are they?
Who knows?
So, a team versus group. In teams, the loudest is not the only one who matters. There are a lot of roles in teams. There are some who are the loudest, but there are also the people that are more quiet, that are more observing. There are people who are optimistic. There are people who are pessimistic. There are people who are analytic. And there are a lot of different roles, and they are all as important as others. So that's one really big thing if you think of a team, is that it goes a lot of deeper level.
And in teams, you have responsibilities, but in groups, you only share the responsibilities. Every one of us has been part of some work group, or like in schools, like group projects. And then you just, if you have to have some presentation, you just give the responsibilities, like you do this one, I'll do this one, you do this one, and that's it. That's the thing. But in teams, it's a lot in deeper level. Team wants to support you. Team doesn't want to beat you. There may be some competition. It's a good thing. But they don't want to beat you and just be better than you. They want to be better with you.
Yeah, you want to be better as a team.
Yes.
Yeah. And also, if we think of learning, that in a group, you learn about that, usually that one subject. For example, it's a presentation.
Yes.
You learn about that one thing. But in a team, for example, here, we learn from our own subject. For example, for me, the leadership. And I also learn about marketing, about events, about anything that the others learn also. So, because in the dialogue sessions, we share these things. We share our learnings. So you could imagine that you are not learning from only one way and one person. You're learning from 10 different things and persons. And also there are a lot of different things. We are going to have this one.
Yes.
That one. That has. What do you learn from groups and what do you learn from teams? But it will be soon here.
Yes. And as I've been a coach in hockey, ice hockey, and there are a lot of team building. You always have the one goal, the championship, but you have to build a team from the basement, the trust. We'll get back to that a little bit later. Here we have the 5 dysfunctions of team from Lencioni, and there are big things to look at, because a team is an asset, but building a successful team is not an easy task. A team's biggest differences from a group are dependence, accountability, and time. And as time goes, you build the trust, which is the basement. Then, when you trust everyone, you can have conflicts, you can argue, and you can share your opinions, which may be different than others. Then you build commitment. So everyone goes together to the same goal. After that, you build accountability, that you can trust someone. So I can trust you that you will do a good job today. And after all, you have the results. In sports, it's the championship. But there are no championships without those basements. You have to have the crew team. You have to have the trust. You have to have the commitment. And the commitment comes only through the conflict. And this is a big thing when we build our teams in Team Academy. And that's not as easy as it sounds. Building the trust comes through time, comes through discussion, and there are many things that are on the background of that. But the main goal is the results. Today is being successful in this presentation
is to give you thoughts. So here are I just cannot recall the word what is, but there are comparing of these, that over here in group you learn more of the information you are into, and delegation, and the basic interpersonal skills, that if someone cries, don't be angry for that. Just the basics. But in a team, you learn more of the information and you get knowledge by doing things. And you also learn from everyone else's point of view. And you also learn about your point of view and yourself. Because you could think that your team is 10 mirrors that reflect you back. That how do you seem to others? And have you really evolved? And they are like 10 mirrors. I like to think it that way also. And also you learn by teaching on a deeper level. And then the interpersonal skills, you learn about them on a deeper level also, because you use and spend time together a lot more. And also you really do things and projects that have big pressures, then you really are challenged your interpersonal skills. And also you get more to know each other and get more know of yourself, as I always said.
And when you have a team, when you have some idea, you can tell it to your team and they see it maybe differently and they will reflect that idea back to you a different way. So you can develop your own thoughts, your own ideas, and you can evolve. Okay, let's have a quick break. 10 minutes, I think.
Yeah, let's do that. We can also put it that the time is reasonable. So let's say 10:55. So 13.
Yes.
So let's get back 10:55, and you can also stay here to have a coffee yoga with us or with me.
With you, definitely with you.
All right.
But within this break, you can also write down questions in the chat. We will probably get back to them as we come back. So 30 minutes of break. Get yourself a coffee and come yoga with Esa.
Yeah. So
thank you.
Thank you for this, and I will get also my coffee from there. And let's say in 30 seconds, 1 minute, let's start the coffee yoga. I hope that someone, at least someone, will be here. Have a coffee.
Yes, we are here.
Oh, that's great. Thanks. So let's get into this. So take your coffee mug and please stand up. And then let's just breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. And one more time, breathe in and breathe out. Then take a little bit wider stance, get your legs out, and then let's do it sideways. So breathe in and go sideways. And breathe out and come back. And the other way. Breathe in and breathe out. And next time, when you breathe in good energy and breathe out all the bad energy. And let's do the same thing on the side. Breathe in the good energy. Feel it. And breathe out the bad energies. Let them go away. And the other side also. Breathe in the good energy. Feel it. And breathe out the bad energies. Let them go. And then let's go upwards. And breathe in the team learning methods. And breathe in the team learning methods. And breathe out the negative thoughts about team learning methods. And then again, breathe in the team learning methods. And breathe out the negative thoughts about team learning methods. And then let's just keep your eyes closed and breathe on your own pace and just feel how you feel at the moment. How your body feels. How your breathing feels. Then think of that, what are your thoughts? What's going around on the head? And every time when you get a thought, just let it go. Every time, don't try to push it away. Just take the thought in and just let it go. So you can clear your mind and be ready to the world. And then let's do one more time. You can open your eyes. And then let's do one more time. One breathing practice. Think of that your goals are in this coffee mug. your goals, that the way you will achieve your goals, they are over here. So let's give them first some energy by breathing in and raising the mug up and then pull it back down. So let's give energy to your goals and the way to achieve them. So breathe in, keep it there, get the energy from there, and breathe out and bring it back down. And then drink your goals and go get them. And then thank you yourself from doing this. And I thank you doing this. So I hope you got some good energy from this. In 5 minutes, let's get back. And yeah, in 5 minutes, we'll get back in action. So see you then.
Got their coffee or some
Clicker.
water.
And hopefully also the ones that were in coffee yoga got something out of it. At least I enjoyed it.
Okay, so we wanted to have this break at this point already, so you can really internalize those first things we talked. So the basements of team learning, so we can get back to this.
As we see them.
Yes.
But keep up the chat box as you have already made. Use that whenever you feel like. Yeah.
Okay, this is a big thing to us. You learn things by reading and hearing about them. Does it go that way? Hard to say.
That's the question.
Okay, this is the flow of knowledge. So first you have the data, which becomes an information. Something someone teaches you, or you read somewhere, and you got the information, the theoretical information. But to take it deeper, to get it to knowledge level, you have to have discussions, make something out of it. Then it becomes more practical, and from there it becomes wisdom. The information level, theoretical level, is where you get from someone teaching you something without putting it to any kind of practice.
And here is one of my favorite things. If you come a little bit here. Thank you. The knowledge creation theory of Nonaka Takeuchi, 1995. It looks bad, but it's really good. Because this is how learning by doing is done and how the knowledge is created in these situations.
And this is a big thing in our training sessions, in our dialogue sessions. This is what we use.
Yeah, this is a big thing wherever in Team Academy.
Yes.
Is it about talking of the individual or the team or the marketing or the whatever it is? This is one of the really base things we use. So on the left side, there is the tacit knowledge, which is more of it's like invisible knowledge, what is inside your head, and that is the thing over there on the left. And on the right side, there's explicit knowledge, which is visible knowledge, So remember it that way. On the left side, there is invisible knowledge, and on the right side, there is visible knowledge. So how it goes and how this rolls over here is that on the I'm also feeling like the weatherman if we change our places.
Yes.
On the left and up, there is the socialization or empathy, where we discuss, where for example, chat about something. And when we chat about things, we share our knowledge, the unspoken knowledge.
Your thoughts.
Yeah, your thoughts and experiences of doing things. And then we go to the up right, which is externalizing the concept, where those thoughts that you're talking about come concrete, they become visible by, for example, putting them down, writing them down, or putting them on a cardboard or something, and you make concepts from that things you have talked.
You put it together.
Yeah. And then on the right down is the combination, where you combine the paper you have written from your thoughts and experiences to theory. So that's where the visible knowledge comes together with the visible knowledge. You are trying to use them together. And then on the left and down is internalizing, where you do those things.
Put it to practice.
Yeah. And then the visible knowledge that was over there in the theory and the paper all goes back to the invisible knowledge. The things you do, you know how to do them, and you get the experiences. And then you can chat with someone about this, and then it goes on and on. But put the next one, so it's a little bit easier to put it this way. This is my favorite example of this. So knowledge creating IKEA shelf. So I hope that most of you knows IKEA. If not, you can buy decorations from there, which are a puzzle. It's like really hard to put them together because it's so many pieces. So if we go back to the left and up, you can first chat about your building experiences. Like, all right, the last time I built it this way, this was a good way. You can use that tool. Yeah. And then you write down those experiences together with someone. Yeah, this was a good one, and this was really good one. Yeah. And then you can take your manual and then compare. Yeah, all right. Yeah, this was the last time. Yeah, all right. And then based on those, you can build the shelf and get the experience. But the thing I want to point out is the difference between only reading of things. If you think of this IKEA shelf, which is really hard to build, that if you only read the manual, like on the bottom right corner, have you learned how to build the shelf?
And it's fun to think that way. If you start from building the shelf, you maybe won't succeed. But you can then chat about it, chat about the experience, and write them down. Then you read the manual, and then you build the shelf, and you will probably do it correctly.
Yeah, and this knowledge creation, it's whatever, it's about leadership, about marketing. This is the way the knowledge is created over in these methods.
Okay, let's go back to that last one, because the next claim is you only learn by doing things right. Well, you maybe can understand that last time I talked about doing it badly, and then chatting about it, and then writing down, and then reading the manual, and then doing things right. But let's go deeper on that subject.
So a really big thing is in this area is the fear of failure. You're doing okay.
Yeah.
You're doing okay.
Yeah.
So it's the fear of failure that keeps us many times a part of succeeding, learning. Is that we fear things. For example, this keynote, if we would have been too afraid of failing this or just not knowing anything, then we would not have done this. And then we would not have learned from this. We would not have learned from you. It would have been the wall between us and this. But the things that are important in this is the culture of experimentation, and fail is turned into learning. There are also two main things we think that are really the key points in this one. And over there is Kolb's experiment and learning cycle, that you could start it from the up. Have a concrete experience of something. And then you reflect yourself and the thing that happened, your experience. Then, from your reflection, you maybe get some hypothesis that, all right, does this work this way really? Then you make an experimentation of that thing, that hypothesis you have on other places. For example, I could think of that Veikka is an asshole. That's my observation. Then I could actively experiment that. Is he really? Is he really? Then I take another situations where I try that. Is he really an asshole? And then if it's like that, I can make a concept of, every Veikka is an asshole. And then you go over there, go on and on. But that was a really weird way of using that. But you get the point. You experience thing. You get the concrete experience. You reflect from that. You get some point of view that you try, and then again you go this circle around and around.
A big thing what we do is that, for example, making this presentation, we have all the time we're teaching each other and changing our points of view and creating new knowledge so we can talk better with you.
And then how do you, that was about the culture of experimentation. But this second thing, and also I want to go a little bit back to the culture of experimentation and the team working, that it's really also the base of the 5 dysfunctions, which was the trust. That in your organization, you have to have the trust that you can experiment things and you can kind of fail in things. You have to have that. We could call that psychological safety, psychological safetyness, which is the base also for the experimentations. That if you fail, you are not a failure then. But more about the how do we turn our failures into learning is this tool called Motorola. And the reason it's Motorola is because it's from the phone Motorola. They experiment a lot of things and they failed in a lot of things, but every time they reflected it really fast. So it was like this fail fast and recover faster way of thinking.
So those are the 4 questions you have to always think if you have failed in something or succeeded in something, because you can also learn from doing things right, but you have to think to get better. You have to think about the things. What did go well? What did not go so well? What did we learn? And what will we do better next time? So, for example, after this session, we're probably gonna do just this.
Yeah.
What did go well? What didn't?
Definitely. And with this, for example, I have learned how to handle my failures also, because using this has helped me to turn that failure into learning every time. And I believe, and we believe, that you also want your students to learn to handle the failures. So this one might be one tool to use in those situations.
And it would be stupid to not learn from your mistakes. Then you would do those same mistakes again and again and again. But if you always reflect what you did, you can always improve.
Yeah, fail is a fail only if you don't learn from that.
Yes. Okay. I already know. That's a claim. Do I? What do you think?
Yeah. You know. Yeah. You're so
Sure,
wise.
yeah.
You're so wise.
Yes. Well, like, this is important thing to always think of. For example, as a teacher, as a leader, if you always think that you know it all already, you won't improve yourself. You won't reflect from your failures. You won't think what you could do better. If you do always the same things, and you think those are right, you won't improve. That's just a fact.
And if you think of the world, how fast it changes all the time, then you will be left behind.
Yes. So, how can you learn more?
There are some things that we were thinking of. That is that could you learn more from the other teachers? How could you learn from your industry? How could you learn from your students? How could you learn from books or from experimenting things? But wherever and whatever way you learn, the most important thing over here is to realize how much your own learning also motivates the others.
You have to develop yourself to inspire others to develop. And, well, these are many things that we already have discussed. How can you learn from your industry or your students? Your students you can learn from in the dialogue. When you have the dialogue with your students, they will probably give you new information, new ideas. From the books, from experimenting. That was the just last thing we thought.
The knowledge creation.
Yes. You have to always reflect to create more knowledge, to improve. But we will go to those from other teachers, from your industry things a bit later.
And then if we think of that, for example, our coaches do these things. They learn from each other. They have a dialogue once in a week together to learn from each other. They visit the companies to keep up with the changing world and to get the knowledge which is relevant right now. They also learn from us by listening a lot, and also they read a lot of books that are also as relevant as possible, of course.
But it's important to think that books are always a bit late. That's why you have to visit the companies that are doing the things right now.
Especially if we think of something like marketing. that how fast it develops.
Yes.
It's like
I have read a book where they talk about marketing and there were no internet yet.
yeah.
It's a bit different. Always there are some basic principles that are the same. The basic ideas, what do you want to do when you're marketing, but like if you don't nowadays use the internet, the social media, you're doing things like in the 1950s. And lifelong learning is a big thing that's close to my heart and probably close to yours also. You always have to improve yourself.
Yeah, and also not only that you have to, but also that you want to.
Yeah.
That one of the biggest things I've experienced in Team Academy is the burn of learning, the will of doing that, but the finding that I want to learn and find the things that I want to learn from. Because of the self-directiveness, I've been actively seeking, I've been trying things, and then I found that. And now I don't have to learn and improve. I want to learn, which is only one word of difference, but man, it's one of the biggest things. I'm really grateful for Team Academy, and I'm really grateful for being over here.
And as most of you are teachers, I think like giving information, teaching is a passion of yours. So why not take it that way that you have to always study yourself so you can teach them better? Always constant development.
Yeah. And also, of course, you might already do that.
Yes, probably. Yes.
But
and a big thing is you should always learn from other teachers. Us, our coaches, all the time do the cross fertilization. That's a word. You have to learn from how other people teach, so you can adapt those good things to your teaching.
Yeah, and you can have dialogue after
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Why, yeah.
Is this dialogue a good thing? Do you think?
Yeah, I think yes.
Kind of useful.
Kind of.
Yeah.
There might be some reason why we are here talking about it.
Well, might be.
But then if you think of that, what do you want to learn? It's a world. World is open. There are so many options, and there are so many ways to go, that we have this tool of aiming our learning. What do we want to learn? It is called the learning contract that we make every half year.
Or even every 3 months. Depends.
Yeah.
Because world is changing, I am changing. So those goals have to change as I go.
Yeah.
And the big thing there are, where have I been? What do I know? What have I learned? Where am I now? What am I doing? And then where do I want to go? What's my goal? What do I want to learn? Then you have to think, how do I get there? How do you achieve your goals? You have to get the right knowledge. Yeah, and you have to find the ways to get there.
Yeah. And then when you find the way to get there, this tool requires you to think of that. How do you know I'm there? That you make as concrete as possible of those steps over there, and also that you, when you get to your goal, you will, how do you see that you are there?
And you have to get back to the start. If you think that you want to learn everything, you have to be the wisest person in the world. It's probably a bit hard to know when you are there. How do you know it? How do you get there? I don't know. But when you want, for example, to learn leadership, you you know where have you been, what have you learned, what have you done, where are you now, and where you want to go. You want to get better at leading or leadership. And then how do you get there? Maybe you have to read some books. You want to experiment. You want to lead.
You have to have that role.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when do you know you're there? For example, you can aim for a team leader role in Team Academy. And if you achieve that role, you know you're there. And then you have to always create new goals. So you have the constant learning, constant motivation to learn.
And what is a good thing to point out is that after we make these learning contracts, we share them. We share them with our team so that the team can help the individual. Or if for example, I want to learn of leadership, but I'm kind of shy and like that, then the members of the team can push me to be the team leader. Or if they find a good book of leadership, they tell me about it. Or if they know some person who knows a lot about leadership, they might invite me to talk with them because it's said out loud, my goals. If I don't say them out loud, then nobody knows. So nobody can help me.
How could I help you then?
Yeah.
And our coaches always also do their learning contracts, not only students. Everyone should have one of these, in my opinion.
This is not possible in your schools. Oh man.
Oh man.
I want to open this one, that why this is our claim. This one is here because every time I've been into these sessions where these team learning methods are they start to use those, or they are starting to talk about using them. The first reaction is always this, like, this is not possible. How do we do this?
I can't do this.
I can't. Why? It's really common way, but the thing is that if you think of that way, that this is not possible in your schools, you have already doomed yourself. Like, yeah, it's not possible.
Then it's not.
Yeah.
If you think that way.
Because it's about mental models, which is a really, really big thing in these learning organizations. Even Albert Einstein has put it this way, that our theories define what we measure. So if we get back into that, I would think that Veikka is an asshole. I think that's my mental model. I think of that way. So the things I measure from when I see Veikka, the things I see are only those things. Even if Veikka would be nice to someone, I maybe would not see that because my mental model is that Veikka is an asshole. So it's a power which is a really big one. It's a really big power. It's a mental model. So that's a really thing you have to pay attention. And also, if you think of that you want to change things in organizations, the part you have to try to affect is the mental models of the people, not only the ways they do.
You have to open your mind to the change.
Yeah.
Only then change is possible.
Yeah. And there is the mathematical stuff. And yeah, the reason why it's there is that I visited 2 weeks ago a company called Finsit, which is a company which is really successful and which uses these team learning methods also. And I got to meet the CEO of this company. And the interesting thing he told was that he does not believe in big changes. Big changes are just, they won't happen. What he did believe was small changes in the day. So if you make a 1% change or 1% better than yesterday, then you will get this mathematical stuff from there that in a year, when you make 1% better than yesterday, in a year you have made for 37.8% better. So it's all about the small steps you take to be better. You don't have to do the big change, and this CEO did not even believe in that stuff. He believed in this one.
And 1% is not a big step. It's a small step towards the bigger goal, which is somewhere there.
Yeah.
And every day you can improve the 1% to reach the goal at some point. So now we challenge you.
So we challenge you to do this 1%, to this team learning and dialogue. And here are some examples you could try. So try the dialogue, try it out. So make the chairs as a circle and nothing in between that. All the tables and everything away from that, and just make the dialogue circle. Because what I have learned from our coaches from an example is that the oldest team coach, Timo Lehtonen, the legendary one, I've learned from him that this small change might be one of the biggest ones, that because it changed the dynamics of how people interact with each other. Because normally in a class, the students talk to each other's backs. But when it's a dialogue, they talk to each other. So that's one.
And also the coach in our sessions is part of the circle. He's not behind some table like we are here. This is not the way.
Yeah.
We're bad examples. But this is why we have the discussion session later. But like, it's a big thing. You may feel secure behind the table as teacher, but you have to make yourself vulnerable. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. That's a word also. Because when you don't feel so secure, you're part of the class. Because they don't feel so secure when they are giving their thoughts to the team, to the class.
Yeah.
You have to be a part of it.
Yeah.
You're the example. Because every student looks up to the teacher. That's a big thing to remember.
Yeah.
Second one is give the whole class a challenge. Shared exam, for example, they have to do things together. It may be small, it may be big, but some challenge.
So that they have the challenge together.
They have the goal. They have the goal to build.
Yeah. And that then you also evaluate them as a team, as a very many cases do in the working life also.
Yes. They have to depend on each other.
Yeah. And then the third one is that visit other teachers' classes and talk about it, have a dialogue about your teaching methods or some situations or how could you evolve. A really simple one, but might be a big one.
Or ask some other teacher to come to your class.
Yeah.
Chat about that.
Yeah. Or then you can also, we challenge you to visit your industries companies to see, I don't know when was the last time you visited, or do you visit? You might, but visit the companies, your industries companies, to get the knowledge.
Yes. And then create yourself a learning contract. And also ask your students to build themselves a learning contract. And a big thing there is that you will want to learn. You don't want to succeed in some exam for the students. They should get the knowledge, not like the best results. That should be the mental model the students have. It's hard, but if you have yourself created some learning contract, you know where to aim, you know what you want to learn. It's more concrete.
Yeah, and the thing, well then, yeah, the last one, other, whatever other experiments you want to do. These things are just suggestions, yeah, that's a word also, that you can try some of these or whatever, but the most important is you try and learn from it. This is what we want to challenge you to do, to try something and learn from it. For example, with that knowledge creation theory.
And that the first change is your attitude towards the change. You have to believe it in. And now we want to interact with you. You can now ask questions. What do you want us to explain further? We get back to those claims we have first, and let's go from there.
So, any questions, wherever you have them, give them to us of our own experiences or some theory, or we will do our best.
Do you now believe these claims are true? Do you believe these claims are false? What's the problem here? How do you feel?
Yeah. So the question, do you think that reading books is important too? Do you have to read if you want to learn, or can you just do practical things? That's a super good question.
Yes, I believe you have to read books or watch videos or read articles. Books are not the only things that are teaching us theory, but when you do something, you have to have the theory behind that. Like in here, we have shown you some theories. We have something to back this thing up, and then you can reflect those to your own experiences and do practical things, learn more, then read a bit more and build your own knowledge further.
So if you think of this theory, looking for the right slide. So if we think of the structure we told you that our basic days are formed from, is that over there you also see that part of the theory. It's 8 hours a week, and that theory you put into practice in your projects, and then you have a dialogue of it, and there was the knowledge creation chart, which a theory is a really important one. So in my opinion, the biggest things are also that you put them into the practice, and also that by reading you will widen your point of view. For example, of leadership, you have your own point of view and you have your own experiences. So that's the point of view you have. But by reading the books, I feel like I've gotten a lot of different ways and views of seeing that thing. So I feel like I'm widening my point of view with those also. And that's a really important thing, I think.
The next question was, when do you know that person is ready for a change? Do you have a tool for that? Well, for example, I think that no one's ever ready for a change before it starts to happen. Because you grow to that change. Because you are always clinging to what you know. And it's not easy to do some changing, you know.
Yeah. And I think that what is important to discuss in this area of when you are ready to change or someone is ready for the change is the resilience that you really should read more about. The resilience means that how the person, for example, how well I can succeed in change, and how I can keep up my energy though there are a lot of changing things around me. So the resilience, it evaluates, for example, 7 different things that how I see things. For example, there are positiveness or structure, or there are a lot of different things that how I can improve my own resilience, that how I can work as best as possible in the change. So resilience is one thing you should really seek out.
And one thing I want to point out is always your own motivation that comes from inside you is always the strongest one. And that is the reason you have to always be motivated yourself to get better, to do a change, to do a difference.
Next question. Is this the next?
Some in between.
I can go check it out.
Okay. Just a moment.
Yes. Next question. Everyone asked yesterday that can team learning be used with all kinds of subjects? Foreign languages.
I think yes, because when you really learn some language, you have to use it. You have to put it to practice. And you have to have the data, the information, the knowledge, and create the knowledge about it. And the wisdom as you use it. You have to have the basic ways of learning that, giving the information, giving the grammar, for example. But then you can, as a team, create that, put it to practice, get better at it.
Yeah, and also I morally have questioned back that why not? That, and also the reason I'm throwing this back is that you have the knowledge. You have the knowledge of the foreign language, of teaching that. So how to adapt these methods and what methods to try out. So, but of course there are some subjects that needs the basic information, as Becca said, but I would just throw it back. Why not? And you have the best knowledge for that. Next one, I teach English at high school, at high secondary school, coach teaching. I can say I'm on the way. Surely I'm not teacher in traditional way of considering it, and I've been like that. But I would like to compare this method with colleagues who teach the same subject. I do. You have mainly talked about economical world. I would like different point of view. Yeah, over there, if you want to compare the methods with your colleagues, that was exactly one of the things we challenged you to do, was that go, if you scan each other's classes and then have the time to have a dialogue of it, to talk about it. So yeah, we have talked really much about only economical world because that's where we live in, where what's our subjects, but these are the same, for example, in this also.
Yes, and it's great that tomorrow you have various persons talking about how they are using these methods on their own world, which is a bit different from us, but those same principles always adapt. And you can use a dialogue within every subject, in my opinion. Like when you're teaching, for example, math, you can always chat about how things are done. You can spread the knowledge. You can spread like the different kinds of way to get the right result. And for example, if you have some tools to use, some IT tools, you can chat about how to use them correctly and spread the knowledge, create more.
That's a really good one also. So people are normally against changes. If someone says, for example, your principal to you that you have, I think that you have to change your teaching, is this possible to work? Yeah.
Yeah. Just like I said earlier, you have to have the motivation inside you. You have to build the motivation to them if you want them to change. You have to learn from them, see what the mental model is inside their heads, and why is there some way you can maybe give some advice how to do things differently.
Yeah, that's one of the problems is I believe that it is not possible to be just like that way, that principal tells that you have to change. It should come from the bottom to up, like yes. In our case, that why we are changing and doing things is that it has been kind of our idea.
Yes.
But it's it's a tough one. It's a really tough one.
But like, for example, how we work in Team Academy, when we see that something doesn't work, something has to change, us students come to those coaches and we discuss it together. As a whole Team Academy maybe joins the dialogue, and we talk how to change things, why to change things, do we have to change things.
But also over there in the question, there's also mental model really strong, because are they against changes, or do you think that they are against changes? Of course, there are always people who seem to be against changes, but also how to, because they are also just a different point of view, the ones that don't want to change. So how you can listen that person and adapt the things he's saying or she's saying to evolve something else. So really biggest thing I think of if I think of leadership is that how to get those who seem to be resisting change to be heard, how you can ask them, how you can try to understand them.
And is it that they don't feel secure with the change? Is that why they are against it, if they are?
Yeah.
Do they just want to be heard, want to be understood, want to be respected?
Or are they afraid of the change?
Yes.
Or what? To get into that, what's behind that thing is really, really good big one. When you choose what you are going to learn, do you have a list of content to choose from?
It's about us. We get to choose what we want to learn, and it's basically what we want to do as our projects. That's a big thing. Then we report about how we succeeded, what we learned, and what we did, what we will do better, what theory have we used, and we have tools for that.
Yeah. So the thought that arises to my mind from this is that it takes time to change your mindset.
Yeah.
From that, someone tells you what to do, to that self-directiveness.
Yes.
For example, I recognize from myself that it took me half a year when I started at Team Academy to be between that. Before I was told that what to do and what to learn from. Now I have to myself. Now what? It took time. It takes time, even on a person's, on individual's level.
Yes.
But if we think of the organization's level, it will take even more time.
Yes.
But that's one.
And one big of a thing is that we try different kind of things to find what we want to do, what we want to learn. I think no one's been in Team Academy and just done one thing. They want to learn about many things and try other things. Go involve yourself in some other people's project. Go help there. Find if that's your thing, if you want to learn more about that.
And also what drives us to the learning is the real customers and also our goals. Because in Team Academy, the end goal is to get to the trip around the world, which unfortunately is not possible now when I graduate. But there is that big goal you want to achieve. So when you have that goal, which is like huge, you have to make something like 10,000 euros per individual, then that also drives you that, all right, I want to go to trip around the world.
Yeah.
That's my goal. And then I have to do something. And then by experimenting, that goes over there. So I don't know how that's really on your knowledge, that how to set or get the students to set this kind of goals, but it's really important also. If you think of, for example, languages, it might be something like, I want to chat with Spanish people.
or go to Spain and just speak Spanish there.
Yeah. Something like that.
If you teach like sound engineers, you get them a big project, some music gig or something that they have to put together. They have to learn the knowledge to be able to do that. So they have the goal where they want to go, what they want to reach, and then they can, from the learning contracts, they know what they have to learn to get there.
If you had to put it in a nutshell, why to change from teaching to coaching?
Well, here again, I think you all know the answer to that, not us.
But what we do know is that our experiences.
Yes.
And the experiences of how this coaching has, for example, made myself more brave and also helped myself to how to handle the failures. And I feel like in this method, I've learned a lot more than the basic teacher's method. And I believe that every one of you also wants your students to feel that way.
And a big thing is that I feel like I've done the learning. No one's like taught me, but I've done the learning, even through someone else or by someone else, but I do the work, and that motivates me, and that gets me to become more brave and confident.
Yeah, and if you think of the working life, you have to learn yourself also. You have to develop yourself. And if you already in school learn how to develop yourself, not only by someone told you, then you can continue that in the working life also. There was that one.
Just a bit. Yes. How to get students along. They are also used to being told to what to do and not all self-directed. How to get the students along.
There were two questions, kind of. How to get students along together, or
like how to get students to think that they want to do things self-directed. That's how I understood the question. So everyone's not self-directed right away.
Yeah.
How to put it? I think everyone wants to learn. That's one thing to use as a tool. What do you think?
I lost my thoughts. But yeah, that's self-directedness. I believe that has come a lot also the real things, the real projects.
Yeah.
That when I realized that I can really do this one, and I realized that I can do that, I don't have to be told, then. But that's really main questions, how to motivate people.
But like, could you ask your students, like, how would you be able to motivate them to be more self-directed?
Yeah, and how you can learn from that, what kind of experiments you can do to see that, all right, this kind of experiment, now I try this one, and then see if they become more self-directed or not. Then you can be like, yeah, this worked, or oh, this did not work at all.
Yeah, and like, well, there's the foreign language example. If you could like use the language for what do you want to learn, like, okay, of course there's some basic things you have to study, have to learn, but like if you can specialize in something, if you have able if you have chance to specialize in something you are interested in. For example, if I had the chance to study Swedish for being able to coach as a hockey coach in Swedish, I would be more motivated than to something else.
Yeah, the main question is why they are there, why they are at school. So is it because they want to get to work? They want to get a good working place. It might be that. And what is in our team academy way, and also wherever, if you want to get to the good working place, you have to. This way gives you options, because if we compare the which uses this learning organization, for example, this team academy now. Let's compare a person who has come from team academy and a person who has come from the basic line of this economics. The basic line of economics can show a paper where he shows that I've done these courses, and from team academy you can show I've done these things. So that's a really big difference if we think of. And if we think of the self-directiveness way, it's kind of the same. The people in working life want you to be more self-directive, and if you can show that, hey, I've done these things, nobody told me to do these things, then you show you are self-directive, and in that way you will get better working places.
And to that foreign language example again, for example, I think that even though I've had like good grades from English, I wasn't good at it before I started using it. And every language teacher knows that you have to use the language to get better at it. So when you put that to practice, you really learn. And maybe you should just encourage people to go, like, if you have a chance, go as an exchange student to country you want to learn the language from. You have to learn the basics in the classroom, but then you have to get to put that to practice to really learn it.
Were there a question?
Okay.
All right.
The worldwide situation and rise of online learning require more independent work from students, and I see teamwork as you have presented it as a good way. The only worry I have is that the weaker students in a given subject might have a much harder time because they depend on direction a lot more. Although the question of how to solve this issue might be a question where we teachers can learn from one another.
Yeah, that ending was really good one.
Yeah, but like, for example, in our training sessions, we have people that are better at marketing than I am. And then they are supporting me to get better at it.
Yeah, they're teaching you.
Yeah, they're teaching me. And when you have the peer teaching you, it's different situation than when you have a teacher who's like on a higher ground than you. If you put it that way, it's different. And also the ones who are already better at it, they may get even better at it when they are teaching it to me, because I'm asking a different kind of questions that they haven't even thought about.
That needs some experiments.
Yeah,
some knowledge creation, and stuff like that. Teacher learn from one another. That's really you answered already with that.
We have time for one more question at this point. Do you have something in mind?
Who's the fastest?
Who's the fastest? Yeah.
but if not, I can already start to talk about this. We want to thank you already from this one. You were really responsive. It was really surprisingly fun, and this was our point of view, how we see these things, and a coach teaching website on which we may share experiences. Yeah, you really should make that one, Katarina. If you can make that, do that. Because that would be like really awesome.
And it would be worldwide, because in different countries you have a different kind of ways to be good at your job and your teaching.
And also
would be amazing.
Yeah,
and the cross-fertilization there would be amazing.
Yeah, and also you don't have to make a website. You can make a Teams.
Yeah,
Teams room. You all of you have Teams because you are here. So make a room in Microsoft Teams where you can discuss these. Like really do that.
Or like Facebook group.
Yeah. Whatever.
Whatever. But now,
so yeah. If I may continue from that.
Okay.
I really enjoyed this, and this was our point of view. So when we get back within an hour, we want to hear from you, and we want you to discuss. You have a dialogue, so that every one of us will get your knowledge shared, so you can widen up your thinking and get maybe some results or whatever. But that's the thing it goes.
So do we already show what they are discussing first?
Maybe
not. Let's build some anticipation.
Yeah, within this next hour, we ask you to write down your thoughts. So it's easier you to discuss from those.
But we thank you a lot. This was fun.
Yeah.
And let's go have some lunch and get back to this in an hour.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. See you then.
Thank you. So we'll see you in an hour.
We are a team. We than individuals. But I'm not sure that I can apply this in the classroom very easily yet. But I completely understand how important it is. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Kara. So you think, did Veikka and Esa hear the question? Do you have anything to comment?
Yes, of course we have, but we hope that the comments would come from you. You could discuss together. This was a really good point. Thank you, Chara. But we hope that someone else will answer if they have the same feelings or different feelings or anything, so that you could have this dialogue.
You are correct. You are.
Yes. Please.
Yes. What do you say about Kara's comment? Or any other comments?
Hi, this is Eina. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I was thinking about this SS experience or example which you told. You visited this company, was it yesterday? And I've been thinking about this idea a lot. So he was thinking that big changes won't happen at once. So it's not important to make big changes. So in a suddenly or one day, you can do them step by step, like one step today and another tomorrow, and so after a year you've had a lot of changes. Maybe that's an answer for Kara, for you to try to take the first step. That's all.
Thank you, Eine. Exactly like that. And yesterday I was talking about that how hard it was in the beginning to change from teaching to coaching. I still do teaching. It doesn't mean that I'm just coaching and doing one kind of thing in my work. No, I'm mixing. I made my own method. But the greatest moment and the most difficult moment and the aha moment was when I realized that I haven't trusted my students. I haven't thought that they can manage on their own. They can do the thinking. This sounds a little bit harsh, but that's what we teachers seem to do a lot. We think that they don't learn if we don't tell them. That we are the precious queens and kings of the classroom. We have the valuable knowledge which we give them. And then we think that the more valuable and more skillful teachers we are, the more we talk. Still today, many of my colleagues, they think that, okay, I'm not a teacher if I don't talk and share my knowledge. And that's the way of thinking that we should get rid of. Because it doesn't go, all the research shows and experience shows, it doesn't go like that. The students are not empty wells without, and our knowledge is like water, what we pour into the wells. No, they are there, the experts of their own learning. And somebody asked there that, how do they define what they want to learn? We have the curriculums. All your schools have curriculums. We have study units, and all the study units have descriptions. They have descriptions what the students should learn during this study unit, but instead of me learning it, I give it to the students and they read the curriculum. They read what they have to learn and they have a discussion. How do we get there? How do we learn these things? They might think, okay, we need lecture on that specific thing. We need a lecture in English language in some grammatical thing. But okay, can we learn it some other way also? Let them do the thinking and the planning, not you. Because that again puts you on the position of king or queen, who has all these people who you rule. No, let them rule. Let them tell you how they will learn it. They need coaching in how to do that, how to plan and how to tell you how they want to learn. They need these dialogue circles. They need you telling them that and discussing about team coaching, about the changing the roles of the students and teachers. It won't happen by itself. The more you tell them, the more you discuss with them about these new methodologies and why we are doing them and ask them, what do you think? Do you agree? Do you know what I mean? Any comments?
I hope it doesn't matter if I'm talking all the time, but I was thinking about the age of the students, and I want to ask you a question, all of you. What do you think? Is it possible to coach young people from the age of 16? Or is that just for adults? Because approximately the average age of our students is about 25 years old. And there are big differences in between teaching like 40 years old student or 16 years old student. Which one is easier? Which one is what do you think about this?
Anne, please go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, I think, well, since I mostly teach students from ages 16 and up, I think it's well, it depends on how the students were socialized, I guess, with learning. So if you have students that are used to here and then working on their own and working independently, and then kind of growing into that, I think it's possible. But I'm just sitting here thinking about, okay, where in my own lesson can I actually have maybe a phase where I let them work on their own, and then maybe also reflect on what went well and what didn't go well at the end. So that's something that I actually wrote down for me, to have like a short unit maybe, and then just do what Maya said, and just say, okay, this is what we want to learn. How can we achieve that? Because one of our business English books actually is very boring. So I'm planning on trying that out and seeing how they do. But yeah, I think it depends on how independent the students were taught or coached, I guess. So a lot of our students I know sometimes have the tendency to just sit there and be like, okay, just tell me what I need to know, and then I'll get this over with, which naturally doesn't work as well as if their motivation was more internal. So yeah, I think small bits for younger students, and then just expanding that might be the way, theoretically, because practically I haven't really kind of gotten into the topic as much.
Thank
you, Anne.
Yeah.
The others, please. Do you have any comments for this? Do you teach adult students? Anyone?
Sarah, please.
Okay, I think that the step-by-step method that many people suggested perhaps is the answer, at least for me, or for what happens in Greek education, where is a lot of pressure to finish the curriculum in a short time. But I think that even yesterday I was thinking that the first area that I could practice this effectively and without many problems is with adults, working with adults. And can you hear me?
Yeah.
And perhaps the basics of adult education, the principles of adult education, like having to respect people and take advantage of the knowledge that the adults already have, because perhaps they don't know the curriculum, but they have life experience, which is very important. That they can bring a lot of this into the classroom. This is very well matches the team learning. So one could start with adult education, although this could apply to students as well. We also have to respect the students, and our students already know things. But I think that we absolutely have to do this method with adults. It's much more easier, and it's also needed, because our school culture and the way our social life work does not so much encourage team working. That's
yes. Yeah, that's correct, Kara. Yeah. Start with adults. Well, my students are from, like at the current group, they are from 16 to 52 or 56-year-old. So I have students from all ages. And with the 16-year-olds, because most of the young people, they hate school, even though it's voluntary now when they are in a secondary vocational school, but still they think they have to go to school. So we discuss about that, and I kind of push their rebel side, and I say, hey, that team coaching, team learning is the way to avoid the boring lectures where you sleep and where you play with your phones. That may be, open discussion with the students.
Really good talking. The thing that arose a lot now was that trust. And I want to ask you a question of what do you need to trust more your students? Because now we got one thing, which was the age, that you were talking about the age. You need the age to trust your students. But what else do you need to trust your students more? How do you feel?
Any thoughts, anybody? So, or if I understood correct the question, in what things do you need to trust your students more? Was it like that, Esa, or?
Yeah.
In what things? Yeah.
Yep. Because the only thing that came up now was the age. So what else?
Sanna, please tell. Sanna.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Can you hear me? Yeah. I think what we need is a time, and time to spend some time with the students. And I think that's the main idea, main thing, because when you get know your students, you can learn to trust them. But I think even Finland, I think we don't have enough time spend time with the students to get know them really good, and then start about the teamwork with them.
That's true.
Yes.
But then, even if you have a small amount of time, you can use it wisely. Instead of you talking, let them talk. Ask them how they are. How are you? From each student. Anne, please. Anne, did you want to speak?
Okara.
Okara, yes. And Romina?
Okay. Well, one thing is for starting trust everybody in the classroom is for the teacher to be safe that applying this method the teacher she will not have any problems with the school. I generally trust my students, and even when I feel that they'll do something wrong in regards to me, I can take the blow because I am the teacher and this is my job. My biggest worries is when the students are not nice to other students, because when developing a climate of trust, perhaps they could some people could take advantage of this and not be so nice to their fellow students, and I feel somehow responsible if this happens. It's not about me trusting every student, but the students trusting each other. This is, I think, what I am still somehow responsible, and I really cannot control that much.
Thank you, Kara. And Anne?
Sorry, I forgot to turn on my microphone earlier. I think Kara has a very, very good point to say. It depends on the group that like how they trust each other. Because just thinking of the different classes that I have at the moment, there's all kinds of different groups, and I think certainly if I tried a team work with them, I would kind of coach some of them more loosely than others, I guess. And I also think that we need to trust in the fact that they will fail but learn from their mistakes. I think that's something, when I'm a teacher, I always want everything to kind of go right. I want everyone to be interested. I want everyone to do all of their tasks and to understand them. And I think in my own thinking, there's not so much room for failures. And I guess that's something that I just personally have to work on myself and just be like, okay, even if we do a group phase or a group phase that fails as in doesn't work out the way I would expect it to kind of give that back to the students and say, okay, this didn't go well, what can we do? And then maybe just trust for them to also find solutions to the problem that I'm perceiving at the time.
Exactly. When they find out the reason, they also have the solution. Eine?
I was thinking about two different things. I know a lot of students who have social problems, or they are very shy, or they have maybe mental problems or things like that. And dialogue could be very hard for them. That is one kind of problem to solve. And then, of course, there are students who have problems with learning difficulties. How to make sure that they will learn as well if they are working at teams. Things like that. Does anyone want to say anything about those? My thoughts?
Yes, Anne.
Maybe to one spontaneously, not so much the other, because I don't have that many or that much experience with students with learning disabilities. But for shy students, I find that in the group work that I've done before, the shyer the students are, the more they benefit from smaller team sizes. So in my experience, just if there's students that are painfully shy, then maybe just give them one or two partners to work with for them in order to develop the trust and in order to start speaking up. That would just be my idea for that kind of topic.
And team is a great help in learning.
Yeah, I had a few points also. As Sanna said, the time spent together, it builds the trust mostly. it's important to have. And to Anne's point, like the fear of failure as a group, I mostly think that what's the worst thing that could happen? What's the, like, if everything went so bad, so bad as possible, what's the worst thing that could happen? And how to turn that small possibility into learning.
Yes. So what would be the, I'm thinking about, so what would be the worst thing? You mean if I started, well, I have started already to practice team learning? What could go wrong? What would be the worst, the catastrophical thing what would go wrong? Okay, if I'm teaching from front of the class, I can't be sure that they all learn even something, even a little bit. In team learning, can I make sure that they have learned something? No, the team will know. What do you think? Have I understood this correct?
Yeah, in my opinion, yes.
What about the others? What would be the worst thing to happen if you start applying?
And if you start trusting your students more, what's the worst thing that could happen?
Yes, please, Kara.
Well, what is perhaps that my fear is that some people will not respond to this method even, or some groups will not function so well. For example, 1 or 2 students will do all the job and the others stay inactive.
That is a very good point. So how to avoid that one person, 2 people do something and nobody else does anything? Romina.
Yes, about that topic. If we teach in a regular way, then we also have students who are there, but they are not participating in the class. And I think that with the team coaching method, you might also have students not participating or who are not that motivated, but you also have that in regular class, I think. I think that problem, however you teach, whether you teach in a regular way or you do the team coaching, you have students that are not participating maybe, and or students who don't want to participate, students who have private problems maybe. So they want to participate, but they cannot, their mind is somewhere else. And I think that you have that problem no matter how you do your regular school day, no matter how you teach or you do not teach. I don't know. I think teaching in a regular way does not give you the guarantee that everybody is participating.
Yes, you are correct, I think, Romina. And with team learning, the students have the team pressure, but they also have the peer support. And in the old type of teaching, they have nothing, because actually teacher doesn't have time to give them support. Usually the teacher just gets probably a little bit mad at them. Romina, yes, please.
Yes, thank you. The only thing that I'm still thinking about is what about bullying? I mean, our students, I think it would be naive to think that bullying isn't a part of team coaching as well. And I don't know how, but well, I have this particular class that I'm thinking right now, and there's a girl, and I have a feeling that she has a hard time finding friends. She has a hard time fitting in. And I don't know, I don't think that the class is actively bullying her, but I think in a passive way, such as they don't want to be friends with her and things like that. And this is something that I'm concerned about. How about students that have a hard time fitting in? And yeah, do the team members automatically try to make her feel comfortable, try to make her feel fit in? I don't know if that is maybe a naive way of thinking, that team method already does help with bullying. I don't know. Maybe you can tell from your experience.
Yes, there is. Oh, I can't see who was raising hand, but please.
It's me. That raises a question, I think. How are teams formed? Are they chosen by the teacher? Are they the students themselves that form the teams? Because that would be a choice that influences the relationship in the teams, or not? In my organization, and my method of forming the teams is I do some personality tests, but I emphasize that this is only a play, that everybody, like if I do the color personality test, that everybody is all the colors, but somebody has blue, which is dominant, or then there's called a more scientific test called Belvin test. Then there's the Harry Potter test, which is like play, but they all give you these certain personality types which are dominating in people. But always remember to tell them that this is only a play. So I don't get in the same team two very competitive people or two very strong persons. So with these tests, I get different kind of personalities in a team. And bullying, we don't really have bullying. Or if somebody says I'm bullied, it's usually between two people who have some history together, because the team is where the peer support is so strong in teams. If you use the time for the orientation, which I use 3 days, the minimum, and try to build it. And that's why they have the coaches. That's why we are there. Yes, Romina, you asked. Continue. Sorry, who was it? I can't see the names, so please, anybody. Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you. That answered my question at least a bit. I think I just have to try it out maybe and then see whether there is bullying or not, or yeah, make my own experiences maybe.
Yes, really good points, and that's exactly the thing, to get your own experiences. It's really the most important thing, I think. But that was more of the what is the worst case scenario, but what would be the best thing to happen on the other hand, if you start using these team coaching and team learning methods? What are the best things you think you could happen?
And just quickly, I want to say about the bullying thing, that when you go behind that bullying, what's the reason to bully someone? The most usual reason is that you don't understand them, and teamwork is good for that, because in a team you learn to understand them much better. Like in Team Academy, I know 0 cases of bullying, because you really learn to understand them. So why would you bully them after that? Just a quick point.
That's a fair point. Thanks for that. But let's get more into what's the best case scenario. Of course, if someone wants to say still the worst case scenario, please. But I would say that we could go with the best case scenario. What is the best things that could happen if you start using these methods?
Yes, Anne.
I think the best thing, or the first thing that came to my mind, is for the students to surprise us by maybe how much effort they put into their teamwork, or by things that they found out that maybe the coach themselves didn't know about. I know some students have kind of fields of interests that I barely know anything about, so it's a good learning opportunity for us as well, I think.
Amazing point.
I have an example. In my school, we have some students who are transsexual, who are going through the process of changing their gender from boy to girl or from girl to boy. And we have also some gay students. And I heard in one or in couple of teams where they tell openly about what they are going through, and the others just listen and are just fascinated and like, wow, I didn't know. The atmosphere is really open in our school, and I think it's because they don't have to be separate from the other students. They are part of the students, and when you share your experiences, it's really hard to bully somebody who you know and who becomes your friend. But back to the main point, what do you think is the best thing that could happen if you go into team coaching? So please don't let me interfere. Yes, Romina.
Well, I think one of the best things that could happen is that students don't just learn theoretical topics, they also improve their skills, and not just like skills, how to present yourself or how to work in a team. So social skills, I think that is also something that students probably improve more in team coaching than they do in regular classes.
Marisol.
Yes, hi. So can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so the best thing that I think would happen in our school is that the students would get more and more involved in learning, and not just in, changing their perspective, their learning perspective from a completely traditional method to a new method where they really have to do and where they really have to learn their own learning. And that would reduce the school dropout, because we've got a higher rate of school dropout, or people who stop coming to classes after some time just because they dropped while they were at secondary school. They are about around 20, 22 years old, and they don't really get engaged in the activities, in the learning. So that is what would really, I think that team coaching is helping us making them aware of the importance of learning, not just go to school, listen to the teacher, and say how much you've learned in an exam. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Marisol. Very important points. Yes, Kara, please.
Yes, I think what is most important for the students is that after this learning process, perhaps they could feel that they are also important for their school, for the learning of their classroom or their team. Not only the school is important to them, because we always say that how important is to go to school and learn, but that each student has to contribute to that and has things to offer to the school, to the team. This is a life skill that could build more self-confidence to them and teach them how to work and cooperate and listen to other people.
Very good points, Kara. Thank you.
Just amazing points. Really amazing points coming up. And it came up. I'm just amazed. I feel really thankful for being listening and learning from you. It's amazing to hear this. But what do you think of? Now we're getting more into the worst case scenarios and best case scenarios. So do you think that this kind of change is necessary? Do you feel it's necessary to take the risks to try things? So it might go to the worst way or to the best case scenario. Do you think that this is necessary to take the risk of trying these methods?
Yes, Anne, please.
I think it's definitely necessary. Being like the way the world of business is evolving for one thing, but then also maybe more or closer to home in our case, if we actually have instances of having to teach students digitally and to kind of have to trust them to kind of still keep learning even though they're not in school and we don't have them right in front of us maybe. And then maybe that's also a good impulse for online learning, that it doesn't have to be a lecture all the time, but that maybe we can also try to start to trust our students to maybe bring something else to these lessons instead of just saying, okay, well, we'll meet up online for 90 minutes and I'll talk at you and you'll hopefully listen, but I can't really tell because I can't even see you over Teams, for example, when they all have their cameras turned off. So I think it's very necessary. And I think the fact that we can say, okay, we can do small steps, that was said at the beginning, which I think is very encouraging because otherwise it's this huge kind of task to go from teaching to coaching. But if we can find like little places where we can implement it and just try things, and maybe we'll fail and maybe we won't, but but to kind of also keep evolving as teachers and coaches.
Yes, thank you, Anne. And earlier when we were talking about that, maybe students are not ready for this, you are there for that, to make them ready for them. You are the coach. If they've been told what to do all their life, now it's time for you to tell them that there is another way also in teaching and education. Okay, please tell us what you think about. Is the change necessary? Can we go on teaching like we were used to? Is it efficient for all?
If I may?
Yes, please.
I don't know if the regular way of teaching will be the future. I don't think so, because even in the last, I don't know, 30 years, teaching has changed. Even when I think back my school days, teaching has changed in the last 10 years. But I don't know if team coaching itself should be the only thing that we should focus on. I don't know, maybe there is, as Anne said, we cannot change from regular teaching to team coaching in one step. There have to be steps in between, I think, to implement this team coaching way. But I think maybe we should consider changing maybe a few subjects first, a few periods into team coaching, and see how it feels for us as teachers, and then rethink again. But I think absolutely we have to change a lot of things with respect to teaching. Whether team coaching is the thing that should be there for all schools, I don't know, because I don't have experiences myself. I would like to experience this team coaching method and then make up my mind again. But absolutely, we have to change the way. We cannot teach regularly because the world is changing around us. Yes.
Great points, Romina. What you said about the subjects, some of the subjects are so specialized or so out of the. And Romina, what you said about that team coaching maybe is not exactly the method, the way. Somebody has a microphone on. Could you please turn it on? Thank you, thank you. So, you make your own method. I think we are now on the front line and we all can do something. Use your experience and yours. You don't have to follow any particular method. You can make your own. Kara, please.
Well, I think this last question has to do a lot about our values and what we think that the school has to offer to students. For example, in Greece, we know that in the years to follow, not everybody will be working because there's a lot of unemployment. Things will be very hard. The payment for the employees will go down instead of going up. So what do we expect? What we expect the school to offer to the students? Some people really believe that a child or an adult should go to school to be more competitive and to be the lucky one to get a job. So team working, I don't know if it is useful in this case, but if you value other skills and competences, perhaps team working is very valuable, because it helps not only the students that are more vulnerable to participate, but also the students that are the strong ones and the good ones in the classroom to value others. So I think it really depends what you want to do beyond the curriculum, not only with the curriculum.
Thank you, Kara. Very important points. Marisol.
Yes, I totally agree with Kara, and I was going to make a point not just as a teacher at the moment, but as a mother of a secondary school girl who studies for her exams. This is a completely traditional way of teaching and learning, and then she gets so stressed during the exam because she has that fear of failure that once this year the teachers called me to go and collect her from school, and she had really prepared for the exam at home. So I really think that this has changed, and even though it will take time, and teachers or schools may not be prepared for it, it will eventually how can I say it? It will eventually involve other teachers, and then little by little the methodology, the school methodology will be changed.